Okay, it says that we're going, so let's do a little bit of silence first, okay?
All right.
Hello, I'm Paul,
And I'm Wyatt.
and this is Father Son 49ers Talk. How are you doing, Wyatt?
Good. How about you?
And I'm doing good. So Wyatt and I he was down here for the summer, and we recorded a podcast right after the second preseason game. That way we wouldn't have to do it while he was up in Iowa at the state fair and was busy doing a bunch of other stuff with his other family. And when I went to edit it, there was a ton of background, not just background noise, I could edit that out, but there was like popping and clicking, and there was some error with the way we were recording. And I think it was recording off of my computer mic and not my podcast mic. So unfortunately, we weren't able to release that and we weren't able to do it again. But we did have a second pod, or it was actually our third podcast about the second preseason game. We weren't able to do it. And I don't think I actually told you that, did I, Wyatt?
You did not. Oh, I did
Yeah.
not hear about that.
But that's
That
why the
sucks.
podcast wasn't released. Is when I went to edit it, we weren't able to actually push that out. Unfortunately, it was pretty good. It was pretty good, but we can kind of go through and do a little bit of a recap of some of the takeaways we took from that game as well. Okay, bud.
Yeah.
So, so you have some kind of big news, right? You just started
Sort
school.
of. Just started school. Just got football started.
Yeah, I got football started, right? So what's going on at football practice?
Well, my defensive position's basically been set. I'm gonna be a DB anywhere in the DB range. Um, I thought I was gonna be a wide receiver until, wide receiver until our quarterback. I don't know. The coach just didn't like the way he ran the offense and his arm, and he didn't really trust his arm, as the coach said. So he tried me out for quarterback, and now it's basically I'm trying to get the quarterback spot between me and him, and then another guy. So I guess it kind of a change of plans, and now I'm went from thinking I was going to be a wide receiver to a quarterback. It's a little
Man,
bit of a change.
yeah, we had a conversation earlier today about it, right? And you were telling
hmm
me that the hardest part about being a quarterback is what?
The footwork.
The
No,
footwork.
everyone can get their arm under control. I mean, getting that footwork in while you're trying to make the reads, it's not hard, but I used to play quarterback, so I think I have a little bit of advantage over a few people.
Man, I don't know. I can't get
But
these arms under control. Yeah, it is.
uh, but I don't know, just the footwork because you want to stand still in the pocket, but then you know you can't. It's just I don't know, a bunch of mental stuff you got to get down basically.
Right. Yeah. So you're looking at playing
So
quarterback and doing some stuff, but you guys are going through football practice and see how many football practices you guys had so far?
five,
5. Yeah. Okay.
five,
Yeah.
yeah, five.
Nice. Yeah. And your first week of school, how's school going? You learn anything?
Not yet.
Man. So
All
I
I've
rem
done sat there and collected books.
sat there and collected books. Read this book. Read that book. Yeah. No. It was pretty funny because when you were younger, I asked you one time. I said, "Hey, Wyatt, what'd you learn today at school?" And you were like, you weren't that old. You had to have been 7, 8. And I said, "Wyatt, what'd you learn at school?" And you said, "Dad, I didn't learn anything." I said, "Okay, Wyatt, let's make a promise. Every single day you're going to come back and I'm going to ask you, what'd you learn? And you're going to have to tell me one thing you learned at school." And you said, "Dad, you know I don't have to pay attention." I said, "Well, no, you got to tell me what you learned." He's like, "Dad, I can Google that." You were 8 years old. You're like, "I can Google that."
What did I learn at school today?
You learned how to Google.
Yeah,
Hmm.
right.
GTS, Google that stuff.
I'm gonna
That's
start using that now. I had
yeah.
never heard that, but I'm gonna start using that.
You start using that one. Yeah, Google that stuff. That's pretty good. So that's one of the things that we use that at work sometimes. It's like, how do you do that? I don't know, man. Google it. Google that stuff. That's how you do it. And you go through them. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. So you started school, you started football practice, and it's pretty neat to hear you talking about feet work and running routes and doing that kind of stuff. So it's fun to listen to you talk about it. Okay,
hmm
so we had the preseason game, right?
Yeah,
We played the Colts.
played the Colts. Didn't end up winning, but it was a close game. There's a lot of good takeaways.
Yeah, it was a close game. So we were actually, it's the preseason, right? And I saw on Facebook, one of my Facebook friends posted, it was like, oh, my ex's team finally won a game. Congratulations to him. And it just made me laugh because it was the Browns, was what she was talking about. But she had zero clue that it was a preseason game. And technically, the Browns still haven't won a game.
And yeah, they've won one game in 2 years.
Yeah, one game in 2 years. And last year, they went undefeated in the preseason. So it doesn't, I
Matter.
mean, like they went undefeated in the preseason, but that doesn't mean they won a game because they still went undefeated. Kind of. I mean, they had a perfect season, so
They had a
you know,
they had a perfect season. I mean, they did have a darn parade for having a perfect season.
they did have a parade for a perfect season. Yeah, so they were kind of perfect. Yeah, the
Uh,
49ers, though, there was a long time last year that we were wondering, are the 49ers going to be that team?
I kind of almost wish they were, and to an
What?
extent,
No.
almost. I wish they would have got Jimmy G, but then would have got a better pick in the draft.
Oh man, I get what you're saying,
I
but
mean,
wow.
I mean those 5 games, it's like okay.
Wow, this
I
podcast took
mean,
a completely different direction. So we got to talk about this for just a second, okay? So you would have rather got a better pick. So
well,
you say win one
I
or
would
two
have
games
rather
and not five.
yeah. So that way we got a better pick rather than 9.
Okay. Well, I get that. And there's a part of me that was like thinking that too when the season was going on. But when we start winning games, it's like, yeah, okay, we're winning. But what happens is I don't really believe in momentum going from one season to another. And
No, neither do
this
I.
this preseason, this week was a perfect example. Nick Foles. Nick Foles was the MVP.
Of
MVP
of the
of the
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl. And he looked ridiculous this week. He looked like he didn't belong. He tripped himself in the end zone. I mean, he got a touchback. Like, or, man,
A
it was,
safety.
yeah, safety. Yeah, he got a safety, tripped himself, got a safety, and then did all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, was throwing interceptions, just looked way over his head. And so momentum really, I don't know. But
From one season to the other, I feel like there's so much that goes on in the off season, and the off season is so long. It's I don't know. Momentum just doesn't carry over that long.
but it's still pretty cool because we
I
got
mean,
Jimmy
it was
G.
cool that we yeah, it was cool that we won games.
So
I
here's the
gotta say
thing.
that.
If we didn't win those games, and there's a lot of things that could be said, do we go and give Jimmy Garoppolo the contract we gave him? And do we move forward with the confidence that he is our quarterback? Right? If we didn't win those games, would we have gone and drafted a quarterback? Well, I mean, there's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, you got a point. You have a very good point.
Yeah.
But I think if we wouldn't have, um, let's say we didn't sign Jimmy G, or we signed him just not to the contract and everything he has now. I almost say that they say I don't know, like if we got like let's say the 4 or 5 pick, I don't think they would have went out and got a quarterback myself.
Yeah, probably not.
I think they would. I don't. I think they would have went and got out Denzel Ward.
Denzel Ward, who got hurt this week, right? Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
then
hurt
we
my
wouldn't
heart.
have went and got. Then we went and got Richard Sherman. But
Yeah, we might have still done it. We don't have a lot of depth there at that position. So we still might have got him. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of ifs. I see the benefits of what people say. With saying that, hey, lose the games. Not really lose them on purpose, but if you lose them, that was the one bright side, right? Where we're losing games, and it's like, well, at least we're gonna get a better pick. But then we started
mm-hmm,
winning, and everything was good, and everybody was happy, and we got to see Jimmy Garoppolo go out and conquer all and
yeah,
do that kind of stuff. So that was good. Okay,
it's
so
good either way.
let's get into the Colts
Yeah.
game. So with the Colts game, obviously we lost the game, but what were your thoughts?
Oh, I don't. Mm, well, my biggest like the thing that not really takeaways, more of just a surprise. Like I did not see that coming. was Alfred Morris coming out, dropping 84 yards in the first quarter or the first half. Like if you
Man,
let's say he played the whole game and kept that route, that's 168 yards.
well, and he had what, 84 yards?
84 yards first half.
Yeah,
Or
first half. I actually was writing notes as the plays went by, and the first thing I wrote is first run. Morris looked explosive. Man, he came out and just crushed it. He came out and he he made a statement with that run, and then he kept on making it throughout the game.
yeah, it was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
And like not
unfortunately, it
only
was.
was it explosive, it was like it wasn't just like boom truck people. It was smart running. Like
Mhm.
you saw him sit there, wait for those holes to open, and then he would take the hole, and then there's 10 yards.
Yeah,
And like it was smart running. It was good yards after contact. It was just overall like phenomenal.
I actually wrote all
Especially
those. Go ahead.
especially coming out of a guy that no one knows if he was even going to make a roster spot.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
that's perfect. We haven't actually talked since we signed Morris, right? And so when you sign Morris, my initial thought, I mean, everybody's initial thought is he a preseason camp body or is he going to make the roster? And everything you said, we actually haven't really talked about the game yet. This is the first time we're really talking about it in depth. And everything that I wrote about Morris, you already said. I mean, like I said, explosive. The second thing I wrote was that he was patient. You could see him run and he's looking for the holes. And when he saw him, it was cut and run. And then he kept his feet moving. There were a couple drives there where he hit people and he just kept his feet moving and he was driving and he was getting yards.
I,
And it looked good.
there was like three runs there, and like three or four runs that I saw. Just I can remember off the top of my head where he got hit in the backfield and still got like a 9 yard gain out of it or a 10 yard gain. Like,
Yeah.
and I just wrote this down because I don't know. With me, I'm happy with any running back. I don't know. I should have looked what Le'Veon Bell's was last year. I think Le'Veon Bell's average yards per gain was like a 4 point something or another. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. And Alfred Morris was averaging 4.9 yards a gain.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't remember what the stat was. It was like a 4.5. I think it was more than that yards per carry runner throughout his career. Now, of course, his two best seasons were his first two seasons with Kyle Shanahan, and he looked comfortable. He looked like he knew the offense. He's only been with us for 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks, and he
Mm-hmm.
he looked comfortable. He looked like he knew what he was doing, what was expected of him, and he knew where he should be. I was just really impressed with it. So my
Now,
takeaways from the game. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
well, my question is Alfred Morris being so comfortable with that? Is that because of already knowing the Shanahan style of play,
Well, not
already
just
playing with Shanahan?
yeah, not just the style, but the actual offense. So, and this is another thing. It actually kind of brings up another point is that, yeah, I absolutely do think that that's largely due to the fact that he's familiar with the Shanahan offense and just kind of knows he kind of moved in. I mean, obviously, you have to relearn when you haven't done something for a while, you kind of have to relearn, become acquainted, refamiliarized. But when you already know something, relearning it the second time, it isn't as steep of a learning curve. You hit that peak. So once you kind of bust over, everything kind of just falls into place, and you start moving perfectly again. Not perfectly, but it's a lot more natural. So yeah, I 100% agree. But another thing we're talking about is like scheming. Everybody talks about, oh, we have video on Kyle Shanahan and all this other stuff. There was a beat writer, some writer was talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and saying how he didn't really have a great um, presence. I don't really want to talk about it a whole lot because I'm kind of losing a little bit of what he said and I don't want to misquote him. So I'll kind of move on from that just a little bit. But they talk about video and stopping plays and scheming and that kind of stuff. Shanahan has used this offense in every single one of his coaching jobs and nobody can stop him.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, Alfred Morris, they're all going to be successful because they have Shanahan as a coach, and he knows how to scheme
And
and he knows how to run.
yeah, and on that, like having footage on people, especially with the quarterback position, I feel like a lot of people say, well, they have footage on him, they know what he likes to do now. I don't believe in that. no matter what, if let's say Tom Brady, everyone has footage on Tom Brady. Can anyone stop him?
Well, the difference is that Tom Brady, and this is what I've said about Shanahan, about Jimmy Garoppolo, is that Tom Brady is a quarterback that knows how to play quarterback. He knows how to read defenses. He knows how to anticipate. He knows how to go through his progressions and find the open man. It doesn't matter how much video you have. If you can't get to him, he's going to dissect you because he knows what you're going to do and he is able to progress to the open man. And then he has the arm talent to get the ball to the open man. And if that's what you're good at as a quarterback, it doesn't matter how much video you have, you can't stop them. You need other playmakers to stop them. You can't scheme a stop for that. You have to have other playmakers that can make athletic plays
That
that are able to stop that.
hmm
It's not a scheme
And
thing.
another thing, yeah, another thing is between like this is going off. I know I'm like going back and forth between quarterbacks here, but a lot of different quarterbacks have different things. Peyton Manning didn't have the arm that everyone like a lot of the big name quarterbacks have. But what
Mm-hmm.
he had was the ability to read defenses, go through his progressions, find the open man. Like I feel like that's bigger than there's a lot of arm talent,
Yeah, he was a
but there's not a lot of
cerebral quarterback, right?
yeah, but there's not a lot of guys that can do what Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. There's not a lot of people that can do what they do.
Now you take a quarterback like Colin Kaepernick, who had issues progressing through his reads, and when Colin was going through and he was playing, I was all on the Colin train, and I still like him as the quarterback. I still believe that he's a starting caliber quarterback. Now he may not be the top 10
I see.
caliber that we like, but I mean I think he's definitely within the top 30 quarterbacks in the world. I think that he probably is the top 30, 32 quarterback in the world. But he's limited. He's limited in his arm and his reading abilities. He has issues going through progressions, and more than that, he has issues with touch. He couldn't learn it. He just threw the ball like a rocket every single time. And there are times you need touch.
Hmm. Yeah.
So with certain quarterback styles, you video doesn't matter, but other quarterback styles it does.
Hmm. We're getting really off track, but
Okay, so we'll get back on track. So my initial thought is this: with just my initial thought for the game, as I kind of think about it all, and I'm talking more first team offense.
yeah, that's what I
Impressive.
was talking.
It was impressive. We had some really nice drives, but which has kind of been the MO of the 49ers, we shot ourselves in the foot. With penalties, drop passes, we just weren't able to convert in the red zone. We were able to drive, but we weren't able to convert in the
Yeah,
red zone.
I have like wrote down right now. I have the exact same thing you just said on like the I like I have the goods and then I have the bads. The biggest bad I have is well we kicked ourselves basically. Penalties they were crazy. We had them left right. I mean, good play, Alfred Morris 10-yard run, holding. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of that.
Yeah, we
And
took
then
ourselves out
red
of the
zone.
red zone
Three
twice.
it was twice.
No, we took
Oh,
ourselves
I
out of the
thought it
red
was
zone with penalties.
oh oh yeah, with penalties. We got ourselves in the red zone 3 times
Hmm.
and all or 4 times and 3 of those we had to settle for field goals.
Yeah, and one of them we just went on fourth down and weren't able to convert.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's 5. I forgot about that one. It's 5.
Yeah, so we have
We
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 actually
need uh, we need
well,
the
it wasn't
second drive
five
now.
drives because I think we only had five actual drives for the offense itself through the whole thing. So the first
Yeah, maybe
drive,
one of the field goals. Oh,
yeah, well,
one of the
it's
field goals was from like 32 yards out.
yeah. So our first drive right here was 4 plays, and that was a kickoff, and that was a horrible drive. The very first drive in the first half, absolutely horrible. It was
Hmm.
4 drives, but the one thing that I will say, it was 4 plays. But the one thing I will say is this: is I was really excited to see the commitment to the long ball. They were
So
throwing
was
long
I.
to Goodwin in that first play, in
Third
that first drive.
third third and what was it? 3rd and 8. Jimmy G just trusted in Goodwin and put it up to him. I mean, it wasn't a completion, but does that prove that maybe not everyone else believes in Jimmy G's long ball, but does Jimmy G believe in his own long ball?
Yeah, you can definitely see there's been a lot of reports that Goodwin and Jimmy
I
Garoppolo have been working on that long pass together, and they were trying to show it, and they did connect. So they were doing that. Oh, Rondo Sports just went live right now.
oh
Yeah, Rondo Sports. But yeah,
oh
so go ahead.
on that like connection, I don't know what it was, but this is just like pure athleticism. This play, like when I saw this, I I don't know. I just about dropped my phone until I was watching on NFL Game Pass. It was absolutely crazy. So the play where Jimmy G overthrew Marquise Goodwin a little bit, and Marquise
Mhm.
Goodwin came down, toe dragged like an inch away from the sidelines, and fell out. Did you
He was
remember
out of
that play?
bounds. He was out of bounds.
Yeah,
Actually, I remember
one
writing
hundred.
a note.
I yeah, I agree,
It was athletic.
like
It looked good.
but the people that were like the announcers said, they went on hurry offense there because they knew that was out of bounds.
Hmm.
The other team's coach had the red flag in his hand when they snapped the
Yeah,
ball.
that was actually I had that written down on my notes too. Was that I really liked the coaching call to just hurry up and go. Don't let the.
Just like boom.
I have to say too, with the Game Pass, it was really annoying to hear the Colts radio announcers on it. It was just so
So
annoying.
it was.
Yeah, it was. Did
And
you
they
watch?
only did.
Did you watch the expedited version
I watched the
on Game
quick
Pass?
version.
Yeah, the quick version.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't hear all the commentary with them. It was annoying.
Mm-mm. No,
Yeah.
that's kind of why I end up. I was gonna watch the long version, and then I got about 5 minutes in, and I realized it was Colts, and I went to the exploited version. I was
hmm
like, no, not happening.
Yeah, that was annoying. But yeah, that was a super cool play. So we're gonna go into kind of my takeaways from it, and we'll get into some of this other stuff too that we've already kind of covered some of it as we go through. So we'll kind of speed through some of that. And my first takeaway was Morris was explosive. I mean, he just looked good. He really did. He was great. He showed great patience. He really did, and you could see that. You could see him sit back. It was kind of like Frank Gore. I mean, that's the one thing with Frank Gore that he was so awesome at was he had that patience, and when he saw the hole, he hit it and just drove, and he did that cut and run. There were times you could see him cut and run, and then he
Kind of
looked
like
confident with that.
Marshawn. Marshawn used to do that a lot in the going up the gut.
Hmm.
Marshawn, you would see him have a lot of smart cut and run plays.
Yeah, he really did look good as they went through that. We already talked about the red zone offense. The red zone offense, we were able to drive, but we got the red zone. We just weren't able to convert. And that's, man, I don't know what is going on with the Niners. We did that with Harbaugh. It was just like field goal after field goal after field goal. And then just anytime we get to the red zone, we need to work on that red zone efficiency. And I think it will come with Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo and the offense. And I think that we're going to build. And I'm going to warn some people. I'm going to warn us and me and you for our expectations. I think the Niners are going to be good this year. I don't think we're going to be good at first.
I agree. I
Yeah.
100% agree. It's gonna take time.
hmm Yeah, I
I
think it.
feel like it's gonna get better as the year goes on.
I do too. Yeah, I really do. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a rough couple games. I don't know if we're going to beat the Vikings. I could see us beating the Vikings, but
100%.
I could also see us losing. I do think that
We
we're going
got
to meet the Vegas line. So I think that we'll beat the Vegas line, but it's going to be. I don't know where to go with that game.
I don't want to get into it yet.
Yeah, we'll do that next podcast actually. So we'll set that up and
Yeah.
we'll kind of go over what we're expecting for the first 4 games, give a full season projection, and then we'll with the caveat that hey, after the fourth game of the regular season, we're gonna redo our expectations because I think that with any given year, teams just change so much that projecting outside of the first 4 games is kind of hard. So we'll wait and do that. Okay, so red zone, we already talked about that for a lot in extensively before, right? Okay, so
hmm
then defensive line looked good against the run. I was really impressed with the line. So,
It, yeah, it shut down the run game. Like Naheem Hines or whatever. He didn't get hardly anything. There's a few runs, but it looked amazing against the run.
yeah, we really did look good. And we got a little bit of pressure. I still think that we need help with pass rush, But the line, both lines, I'm going to say both lines, both the offensive and defensive line. I think that our fronts, our big guys down on the lines, this game just looked better. So I feel a lot better about the offensive line specifically. I feel I don't know, significantly better than I did in the last couple preseason games. But the defensive line looked good. I do think that we need to work on pass rush, and I'm a little bit concerned still, but I was significantly better. You have anything to add with that? Oh, what you're dragging with your feet, I think, or your arms. There you go. That's better.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Um, Not really. You kind of just you summed everything up that I had to say.
Okay. So my fourth takeaway was we finally saw Pierre Garcon.
Yes, that was mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like my third.
Yeah, man. We finally got to see him come in,
Two
and he
receptions, 40 yards.
yeah, two receptions, 40 yards, and and they were in big plays too when they came through, and it was good. It really was good. And those were my four takeaways. We can kind of go through the drives just real quick. There were a couple takeaways in the drives. We already kind of went through the first drive. The first drive of the game was a 4-play drive. It wasn't impressive. We had some penalties, and we had to we had to punt. But it was nice to see the commitment to the deep ball. So they started throwing, and it's preseason, so it's the first
Hmm.
drive of the game. You would like to drive all the way down, but what else? Do you have anything else for that drive?
Uh, I like to look at good and everything, so I knew it was going to be a good game for Alfred Morris when the first play of the game he goes 10 yards.
Yeah, yeah, and
It was a holding penalty. There was a holding penalty first play as well, which he went back. But
mhm.
it was without that holding penalty, it would have been a 10-yard gain.
Yeah, and I actually have this. So we went with him for the first two plays, and I have right here. Morris kept his feet going on that second drive, and then actually we went run again for the third play of that drive. Oh no, we it was a pass to Mustard. Yeah, that's what it was. So it was a catch, but we weren't able to convert, and then we punted. Okay, so then the second drive was a 7-play drive, so it was a little bit longer, but again, we weren't able to convert. Right, we need to
Hmm.
watch red zone offense. We got down there, and then
We
that
got
one. Go ahead.
that was our first. I think it was a like 11-yard reception. That was the first Garcon reception. Was in the second drive.
Yeah, he had that nice pass to Garcon over the middle,
Hmm.
and that was perfectly placed ball too. Did you see that? He passed it right to the left
Yeah.
of the defender. That looks really good.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It was a
Jimmy Garcon.
very clean pass.
Yeah, that did look good. I really enjoyed that. And going through, and then the fifth play, Morris saw the hole and cut. That's where I saw him on that fifth play right there. Morris, he saw the hole and he cut and he just went for it. It was good. But that we had drop passes, so we had a screen pass that was just dropped. I mean,
There was three of those. One in the red zone. One of
yeah,
them, like second and 5, and it was from the backup tight end. What's his name?
yeah. I'm drawing a blank right now. I had his name written down, but I can't remember. But yeah, that was this play. Yeah, that was this play where he dropped it, just dropped the ball, and then we
Like
had the
the his
slant.
hands.
Yeah, yeah, and then we had the slant, which also probably should have been caught. That was in the red zone. Remember that slant they had come through, and the guy dropped the ball. It still wouldn't have been a touchdown because Jimmy it was to the right, so Jimmy just picked it up. He didn't even look anywhere else. He just picked up and he threw right at him, and it hit his hands. But there was people all around him, and he probably could have
Oh
came down with
yeah,
it. Hmm.
there was a couple hard hits in there as well. I mean,
Yeah. But it still wouldn't have been a touchdown because he had two defenders right there. I don't think he would have made it in. But he probably should have caught the ball in general. But again, red zone offense, right? So that was the second drive was 7 plays. We had a drop pass. And we actually had two drop passes there because you had the slant. And
the
we weren't able to
screen.
convert. Yeah, we weren't able to convert. The third drive, it was a little bit longer. It was 10 plays, and it was a significant amount. I mean, we drove clear down from, I think it was the 2025, clear into the red zone, but we weren't able to convert. A couple of things that I have here was that that was the quick run. That was the Garcon catch. Gerson catch that, or not Gerson, the Goodwin catch that was out of bounds, probably. And well, not
Mm-hmm.
probably, I think it was out of bounds. But then they did the hurry up run to get to that. And then we had the ninth, real nice throw by Garoppolo, but dropped, right, by, was it
Mm-hmm.
Hecatini or something like that? So that was a drop
Mm-hmm.
pass, and we had a couple drop passes in that. So that was the one that was an actual touchdown pass. So I think that they made it to the red zone. They got a penalty which pushed them out of the red zone. Yeah. So second hold, that was the hold that took us out of the red zone in this drive here. So we got that hold. We were in the red zone. There was offensive holding, which took us out of the red zone. And then Garoppolo immediately had a pass right over the center that was dropped. That was a touchdown. And if you have Kittle in there, that's a touchdown.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my note for that is it was a good long drive, but again, we weren't able to convert into the red zone. So in the fourth
Yeah.
drive, which was I believe the last drive of the first half, this one was 17 plays. 17 play drive, which really was pretty nice because we were able to drive down, and we kept Andrew Luck from having a lot of time to go and try and get points before the end of the half. So that was really nice. And this was
Mm-hmm.
awesome. This play, now the end was a little bit sketchy, and we'll get to that here in a second. But there were four third down conversions.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and there
But
were two of them to Goodwin. Those were two of them were to Goodwin, and then we had Morris with some runs. We had a great pass to
mm,
Goodwin. There were a couple good passes. So that 1st and 10, it was 3rd and 6 on the first at the beginning on the third play of the drive, went straight to
yeah.
Goodwin, which was a nice catch. Then the
Mm-hmm.
other one that went to Goodwin was it was the 12th play. It was 3rd and 3, and it was just a nice pass to Goodwin as well. Oh, and this drive right here. So the 12th play, man, this was awesome. 3rd and 3 to Goodwin. That particular third down pass, that was the one. Did you see that pass where Jimmy Garoppolo did the sidearm pass?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the play. And that is what makes him unique. That is what makes Jimmy Garoppolo. It doesn't matter what film you have on him. There are only a few quarterbacks in the NFL that can do it. The only one that comes to mind right now is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the only other quarterback that I know of and have watched consistently throw at those weird arm angles like that. Now, I think that Russell Wilson also does that. So Russell Wilson, Aaron
A
Rodgers.
little bit.
Yeah,
There's a
Russell
little bit of
Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Jimmy Garoppolo. But Jimmy Garoppolo and Aaron Rodgers are phenomenal at that. That play was so awesome. But
Yeah.
immediately after that, we had two. It wasn't actually immediately. It was so there was the 14th play, which was 1st and 10. I had Pierre beasting it. I don't remember that play specifically, but then you had the two batted passes at 2nd and 6 and 3rd and 6 on the 15th and 16th play of the drive. Two passes right in a row that should have been intercepted and were not.
Okay, yeah, I remember that. One was, weren't we in the red zone at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Or really,
Yeah,
no, like red
yeah,
zone
we
really
were.
close to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was right there. And this is what we were saying with Jimmy Garoppolo before is that, he was trying to fit it, that second one, he was trying to fit into a tight window. And he trusts himself to do that. And you're going to take some bad with the good.
You're
But
gonna see some like, wow, why,
yeah,
why'd you throw that ball? Then there's gonna be some like, holy crap, how'd you do that?
yeah, holy cow.
Yeah, holy cow.
No. Okay. No, yeah. So, those were some really nice drives that we had. We had three really nice drives that were, long drives across the field, but we weren't able to convert in the red zone, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went into the second half, and the first play of the first drive of the second half, the starters came in, and unfortunately, it wasn't a great drive. It really wasn't. So it wasn't a good drive.
No, there wasn't anything really that I didn't really take much out of that drive at all.
Yeah. Other than just we started off kind of slow, both the first drive of the opening drive
For
and the
and
opening
then
drive of the second half.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So And that was the
Okay,
go ahead. So go ahead, Wyatt.
okay. Really, I'm not gonna go over drives, but a little thing that I guess doesn't get looked at, and I see why. But Dante Pettis showed what he did in college on punt returns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the one I think it was like a 26-yard punt return. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, punt returns aren't huge, but I mean, let's say he gets it on the 20-yard line. If he gets a 26-yard punt return, now we're 4 yards off of midfield versus a 70-yard drive versus 50.
Yeah, he looked
I mean,
impressive.
yeah, punt returns, he looked impressive.
Yeah, I was
Just a
impressed
little
with him.
thing. It's just a little thing I noticed. Doesn't really make a big difference, but I mean,
Yeah, that was good, and he Dante Pettis, and I'm excited to see him, and I'm excited for Alfred Morris. Okay, so that covers the first team offense. Beathard looked better. He looked better this time. He had a better stat line, and he was completing. And McNichols looked good too. So he's going through, and the second team. We won't get too much
there
into
was
that. We've
one
spent. Go ahead.
there was one really questionable play with McNichols on like I was questioning his like reads, not really reads, but just like thought process.
Hmm.
So he had four guys on him, and he was falling to the ground, and I think it was Naheem Mustard got hit and was nowhere near, and there's two guys on him, and then he tried to hand the ball off. Still,
Yeah, yeah. I
like
mean,
he's
he's
falling, Mustard was getting pushed back, and he still tried to hand the ball off. Like,
yeah. You see
mm,
those sometimes. You see those plays, and you just gotta shake your head and realize that, hey, those guys are pros. I'm not, but they're also learning. So they're learning.
mm-hmm,
That's why he's a third string, and that's why Bethard is a second string. Is they're learning, they're progressing, they're not quite there yet, and that probably wasn't the best course of action, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're gonna definitely do that. Okay. The defense. The defense, the run defense was really good. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Our secondary didn't look great, but there were some flashes. There was some promise there.
Witherspoon had a few good plays, which I like to see.
Yeah,
Sherman had a couple good plays.
yeah, and oh my goodness, we're so far into this podcast, and we haven't even mentioned that Richard Sherman. This was the first time that he was on the field during like an actual game environment with the
Yeah,
49ers.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean he looks solid. I would have liked to see between him or Witherspoon. Don't really, probably Sherman. He's more. I would like to see T.Y. Hilton get shut down a little bit more than he did, but
Yeah, they definitely had some work to do. So I mean, like I said, there were some flashes. Oh, Reuben Foster went out with a concussion. Oh my goodness. Right. I mean,
yeah,
that's one of the main concerns with Reuben Foster. I mean, there's two main concerns with Reuben Foster. One, can he even get onto the field because of his off-field behavior? And
yeah.
two, when he's on the field, every single game Reuben Foster is on the field, he gets busted. He hits the ground, doesn't get up, and your heart just clenches, and you're like, "Oh, what's gonna
Is he
happen?" Yeah,
is he done for the year? Is he done for the game? Is he
yeah.
coming back in next play?
I'm getting all these
Like,
gray hairs. He's giving me
you're
more.
right. You're, half of those are just from him.
Now the good news is he's not going to be available for the next preseason game, which means that he's not going
He's
to be available until week 3 of the regular season. So he's going to have plenty
he's
of
not
time.
he's not even allowed. He's not even eligible till week like 3. He's
Yeah,
has that.
hmm
I think it's a 3 game or 4 game suspension.
it's a 2-game suspension.
No, it's only 2.
Hmm. Yeah, so he's not eligible to play until week 3. So we don't have to worry about
Yeah.
him not clearing. I mean, he'll clear concussion protocol by then. But what's going to happen throughout the rest of the season? Is he going to be one of those guys that
Is
out of
that
the
going to be
16?
a thing that happens every game? Like he gets out of concussion protocol, another injury that keeps him out 4 weeks, back in, maybe plays
I
two
mean,
weeks,
how many games are you going to
back
see him
out.
every year? Are you going to see him 8, 10, 12 games out of 16 every year? I mean, is he going to miss? Is it standard that we are we setting ourselves to expect 2, 4, 6 games a year that Reuben Foster's not going to be available due to injury?
Yeah, and then on top of that, is he going to be able to keep himself out of trouble? And
Yeah.
are we going to miss 2 games every season anyway out of suspension and
Yeah, well, I
game
mean, they'll start
stupid?
to build up. They'll get more and more intense as those behaviors kind of happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, those are all good questions, right? So with the defense, I mean,
Mm,
there's some work to do. We definitely need to, the front line we already said looked good, so the defensive line looked good with
mm.
the run. I'd like to see a little bit more pass rush, but I mean, still promising. Just like to get a little bit more of that.
This needs a little bit more time to mature almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Wyatt, what questions? You said you had a question for me.
I have probably one question for you because I've kind of asked mine kind of.
Okay, go
Mine
ahead.
was red zone. But my one question is, did Alfred Morris kind of secure a spot?
Did he secure it? Yeah, and we kind of we touched on this a little bit in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think that Alfred Morris cemented himself on this roster. I wasn't positive before this game if he was going to be on the 49ers. I had a feeling that he probably was. I felt like he was a good option. But if the argument against that, right? Because you see Alfred Morris and you're like, hey, that makes sense. He can come on and he can be a positive influence on this team. But the argument that I think makes sense against that line of reasoning is that if Alfred Morris truly was that, and he was valuable to the team, or Shanahan thought he was valuable to the team, why wasn't he signed before now?
Yeah, you got a
Yeah.
point. And
Mm-hmm.
he's not the Shanahan like as Shanahan showed for the Niners. He's not that Shanahan style running back really. He's more of an up the gut running back.
Well, I can kind of see where you're going with that, but he was drafted by Shanahan. He is like he's the
He's a
prototype.
handpicked Shanahan.
He's like the initial Shanahan running back, right? So,
Yeah.
but I think that with this performance, he has 100% established his roster spot on this team.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
Okay, so here is my question to you, Wyatt.
Hmm.
Should the 49ers be knocking down the Raiders' door to trade for Khalil Mack?
I want to say yes so bad, but I have to say no.
What? Why?
What? It's Khalil Mack and the Raiders. There's no way that they're going to give him up for something that we're willing to give. Like, what are we going to give for Khalil Mack?
Two first
No.
rounds.
Mm, is that
It looks like he dropped out. I got to get him back in. Hey, go ahead and click on the link again. You got kicked out somehow. So go ahead and click on the link again in your FaceTime. You got kicked out, okay? We're still going. Nah, there you go. Got your back.
There we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
ready.
cool. So it doesn't matter. But anyway, so we were where we were at. We just had some technical difficulties, so we're gonna try and edit some of that out for you guys. But we just got done talking. I just asked Wyatt, what should we be knocking on the Raiders' door? And then I told you, you said, what would we give up? And I said, 2 first-round picks and go.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but are we gonna be able to upgrade? Let's say we can we go out and get some help on the defensive line
Yeah, we can get Khalil Mack.
and then up I'm talking about in the draft.
Oh,
Can we do it in the draft with the first round pick and then do it and then upgrade somewhere else as well rather than
not
just go
at
and
his
get
level.
Khalil Mack?
Not if at his level. If we win 8 into 9 games, we're not going to get a Khalil Mack in the draft.
True.
I mean, here's the thing: we have the money. We have like the fourth most money in the NFL right now. All right.
We
So I
do.
think
We
last
do.
time, what was it? Was it $41 million we have?
Yeah, it's like 41.8 something million.
We
8
have the
something.
money to sign Khalil Mack. So if we sign Khalil Mack, we're going to have our our franchise quarterback. We're going to have a pass rusher. We're going to have like the pass rusher. I mean, he's top 2 or 3 defensive linemen in the NFL, and he may
2.
be yeah
No, no, no. He's no less than 2. No way.
no less than 2. Okay, yeah. So I mean,
No less than 2.
you're looking at 1 or 2, right? 1 or 2. By the way, well anyway, we'll move on from
Cleo Mack's like my favorite edge rusher in the NFL right now.
that. Yeah, right. Okay,
100%.
so we need to trade
Like
2 first rounds. Look, 2 first rounds.
true, true. Yes.
I haven't heard any noise about him going to us at all. I haven't heard anything about it. I just want to hear it. I just want to see something that says 49ers are interested or calling the Raiders. I
About
just want
Cleo
to see
Mack.
it. Anyways,
It would be awesome. Like if it happened, I would be excited. Very excited.
right? Okay. Well, what I mean, that was everything that we wanted to talk about and everything we wanted to go over. This podcast has gone pretty long too. Do you have any parting shots or last words?
Mm, not really. We covered everything and some.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely going to come through and we wanted to, you
Back
know,
on those weekly
yeah, we need to get back
podcasts.
on the podcast weekly. That's absolutely right. So, you're coming back, and we got to get your school schedule worked out. So this was your first week of school, and we kind of see how this is all going. Obviously next week's going to be the last preseason game. We're probably not going to talk a lot about that. It's really not
It's
anything of
preseason.
yeah. As
We'll
long as we don't
probably
lose any.
it's gonna be probably a little recap, then more on to predictions for weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. Right?
Yep, yep. I think that's what we're going to end up doing.
Okay.
Okay, Wyatt. Well, if you don't have anything else, then I love you, bud.
Love you, Dad.
And we will see, or we'll see everybody next week.
See you
Okay.
next week.
Don't hang up yet. Oh,
I'm
well,
not.
we're gonna
I'm not.
go. We're gonna let it kind of get quiet just a little bit so I can get the background noise.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some static on your end that I can get out of there. Okay, bud. Yeah, so that was everything. And give me a call before you go to bed, okay, bud?
Okay.
Are you getting ready to
Well,
go to
I'm
bed
probably.
right now?
It's what time? Like 9:04
Yeah.
or like 9:04.
Mhm.
I'm probably gonna go to bed in like half hour.
Okay, cool. Love you, Wyatt.
Love you, Dad. Want me to call
Mhm.
you before I go to bed?
Yeah, just give me a call real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.